What's up, guys? Good afternoon, evening, and welcome to Roma Theory. Cagliari 1, Roma 0. That was brutal. That was disgusting under every single point of view. On our table point of view, on a result point of view, on a performance point of view, on an entertainment point of view. That was horrid. And it's fair to say that with those performances, not only we can eliminate those league title hopes that some people were cultivating in the past weeks, but with these performances you won't make top four. Let's clear that out immediately, because you're already, in my opinion, not one of the four teams. With the best team, if you play like this in these games, you're not going to make it. It's very simple to analyze. It's very simple to explain. It doesn't take a genius or a football expert to explain this to you. Because the league table is so close together, it's so competitive that if you slip up, and we will slip up in the next games, which is why this is a brutal defeat. Because I said this in the match preview, losing today means that you're forced to get something out of the next two games. And the next two games, I'm not sure if everyone knows who we play. Como at home. Como got battered yesterday 4-0. That defeat is a brutal defeat. But that defeat shows you that Como play football. And Como are there not to park the bus. And we suffer those teams. And then after that, you've got Juventus in Turin. So it's fair to say that from first position, we can end up sixth by Christmas very easily. And in fact, I think it will be the case. Because I think due to this result, we will slip down quite a bit. I've got a lot of things to say. I've got a lot of things to say when it comes to the team, when it comes to the lineup, when it comes to the subs, when it comes to the players in general. One thing that I want to say to open up this live stream is something. Again, I don't want to use this game as the scapegoat of what I'm going to say. Because this is something that I've been noticing ever since I was a kid. And which is why when people ask me what's the best league out there, despite the fact that my team plays in it, the Serie A is not a nice league to watch. And I think games like this proves why the Premier League, for instance, are 20,000 miles ahead of you. Now, I want to ask a simple question to everyone who watched that game from minute 1 to minute 90. Was that a football game? Was that a fucking football game? Because I mean, for a second, I had fucking alterations thinking it was a wrestling game. There is something wrong in this league. And I want to use this game because I noticed it today more than any time. But this is something that I've noticed. I notice in every game because it's something that is part of this league and the refs don't help. These referees blow everything. They blow everything. Every single foul they blow. There is no rhythm in these games. You tell me and answer that question. Was that today a football game? That looked like a fucking rugby game today. And I'm supposed to go there and enjoy my afternoon watching these games. It's shit. It's absolutely shit. And it's why nobody, apart from a minority outside of Italy, watched this league. It's the truth. Who wants to watch that shit? Of course, I lost. And so I'm going to use this performance. But again, as I said at the start, I'm not scapegoating this performance just to say this. This is something that happens in every league game, whether it's Roma or not. These games are unwatchable. These referees blow every single thing. If a player rolls on the floor these days, it's a foul. It's a foul. And the amount of wasted time, it's ridiculous. But let's speak about the game, because everyone's here to know my opinion on the game. The approach today was I'm not sure if the lineup that Gasperini chose. Oh yeah, let's clear something out. That's a red card. People who say that red card was unnecessary, that's a red card. Because that's the last man and that man was literally in the box. That's a red card, full stop. We can't say that that's not a red card. As always, if that had happened against us and they wouldn't have given a red card, we would have cried for a robbery. That's a red card, and you didn't lose because of the red card. I'm convinced that you would have lost this game even without that red card, because Cagliari ate you up today, before and after that red card. I think it's time to clear things out. Palestra today ate Hermoso and Simicas up for breakfast. You know, you go in your kitchen in the morning and you crack 2 eggs and cook them. Palestra today got Simicas on one hand and Hermoso on the other hand and went like this. It's like you didn't lose because that's a red card. Today you would have never won. Never won. And that is a red card, because we're lucky that wasn't a penalty, because it was outside the box, but that is definitely a red card. Going back to us, the approach that I have seen in the last 3 games is alarming, is very alarming, because it's not like it's not like you played well but you were unlucky and lost today. And this statement can be applied for the last 3 games. It's quite evident to me that after the Cremonese game, we've fallen back low in terms of intensity, in terms of identity, and in terms of game plan. Now, maybe it's because some players aren't fit, and that's another argument that I'm going to touch on, because a lot of players were evidently not fit today. And Gasperini proved this in the press conference. It's not an intuition, it's the truth, which again links to the squad depth that we have. I'm gonna spend time today. I'm not in a rush, so we can speak about everything. But it is very, very, very clear to me that after that Cremonese game, something switched off. Now again, due to the fact that Gasperini requires a lot of intensity in training sessions, it can be that there are going to be periods throughout the season where the players are going to feel it more than at times. But it wouldn't make sense to me if you start stronger than how you end, if you see what I mean. Again, we're far away from the end, but it feels to me that you reached your peak around that Cremonese game in terms of performance and fitness, but then you dropped back down, and that is very hard to explain. I think it is very clear that after that Cremonese game, Midtjylland, Napoli and Cagliari today, something switched off, because all those 3 performances, in my opinion, were not good enough, and I would quite define unacceptable. Starting from Midtjylland, everyone laughed at me for comparing the upside down for Stranger Things to that Midtjylland game, and yet again, I'm going like this. That Midtjylland game, I don't know what it is. We even won that game, but it psychologically killed something inside these players and inside this team. And ever since that game took Kone with that ankle injury, Kone's not been the same, because today he was shit, and against Napoli he was shit, and he's clearly not fit. So I want and deserve all the credit for that Midtjylland preview. I called it. That Midtjylland game is like the upside down in Stranger Things. It's a game that nobody wants to play. It's a game that will take a lot of energy out of you, and it will lead to a domino effect repercussion on your next Serie A games. I called it first, and I deserve credit for that one. And now we've got Celtic on Thursday, and after such a defeat, after 2 defeats in the league, again, those are the games that you do not want to play if you're not grinding results in the league. You're not. And I'm very scared of what is coming next, which is why I said yesterday in the match preview, this game is crucial, because our next games are not easy games, and it will take a blink for us to go from league title talks to Europa League positioning again. It will take a blink. A blink. The squad depth in this team is not a high-level squad depth. It cannot face every game in the Serie A, in the Europa League, and in January with the Coppa Italia coming in without reinforcements. And these are the games that need to ring an alarm inside Massara, Ranieri, and the Fredkinson's mind, with Gasperini pushing for help. Because these are the performances. Again, I'm not saying that you lost this game because our team and our squad depth isn't good enough. You lost today because you didn't play. Of course, I'm not using it as an, I'm not just blaming everything. Oh, it's the transfer session. It's the transfer session. It's the transfer session. No. Because you beat Cagliari any other day. The thing today is how you step up on that pitch. You don't want to play. You don't play, you lose. But I think in the base of this always links back to what we did in the summer transfer session and how the manager wasn't backed. And the fact that this squad depth isn't good enough. Because the second some players start to miss out, the limits come out even against these teams. And I look at Wesley. And Wesley, oh my days, love him or hate him. After watching this game today, I can come up with the statement that Wesley is one of the most important players to Gasperini. Because I've said this already, without Wesley, no one in this team dribbles past a man. It's embarrassing to watch. How are we supposed to score against low block teams like Cagliari in that first half before that red card if nobody, and I mean nobody, gets the ball and starts doing something creative with it? The only one is Wesley. And Wesley has limits when it comes to that as well, because Wesley ain't Estevao or, he isn't amazing, but he does things that he can only do in this team, and that's running with and without the ball. Nobody does it. It cost us the game against Napoli. It cost us the game against Milan. It cost us the game against Inter. It cost us the game against Torino. It cost us the game against Cagliari. No one in this team, apart from Soulé at times, but still, Soulé is not somebody who gets the ball and dribbles with it and produces a one-on-one. Soulé gets the ball and shifts it to his left foot to shoot. And that's different because it becomes monotone and players understand you. You need somebody who is unpredictable, and we don't have anyone unpredictable in this team. Every player in this team has something that they do, and they only do that thing. Nobody in this team gets the ball and starts doing something that can catch the opponents off guard. And that's why not only do you struggle scoring, but as I've said many times, whenever you concede first, you don't score and you lose games. Because every player in this team does the same things. The only players who had a bit of unpredictability are Wesley and Kone. But Kone needs to be fit to do that. And Kone today, this is what I want to touch on, fitness of players. So many players were unfit today. Gasperini, I didn't go live on the press conference yesterday. I apologize, I had a party. But Gasperini said this yesterday. A lot of players were in doubt for this game. And this traces back to that Midtjylland game. That Midtjylland game, honestly, it's like Vecna. Vecna going like that, pulling those people on the ceiling, and them and their bones going like this, and their eyes popping out. Because that Midtjylland game, I don't know what it is, but it took something out. It took Kone out. And Kone from that game has not been the same. Clearly isn't fit. Clearly hasn't recovered from that ankle issue. Number two, El Ainaoui. It took El Ainaoui because otherwise I think El Ainaoui would have started out of Kone today. But even... And this... Look, I'll say one thing. I'll blame Gasperini for one thing. Today. You know me, I am not in a position as of the 7th of December to blame this manager because we've overachieved and nobody will change my opinion. We've definitely overachieved. The one thing that I will blame Gasperini for is if you know that Kone wasn't fit today, if you know that El Ainaoui, who didn't start today, wasn't fit today, why didn't Pizzilli start? When in yesterday's press conference, he talked so well about Pizzilli, about how he wants to give him minutes, but a lot of players, but this team, in training sessions, they're giving such good signals to the manager that it's very hard for a player like Pizzilli, who is playing very well in training sessions, according to him, overarch somebody like Kone. But that's my point. If he doesn't do it today, if Kone is injured and not fit, when are we ever going to do it? And again, maybe, I'm not saying we would have won the game, but Kone today was dead. Am I blaming him? No, because he wasn't fit. It's clear. It's clear that Kone wasn't fit. You can tell when Kone isn't fit. Apart from the fact that around his knee he had an incredible bandage. I don't know what it was. It's I feel like there are some players that maybe deserve a chance, or at least deserve a few more minutes than what they're granted right now. And my point here is, if we knew that Kone wasn't fit, my example is Kone. If we knew that Kone wasn't fit, I know that Kone is Kone and that Pizzilli is Pizzilli, and I'm not comparing the two. But my point here is, if we know that Kone was injured and unfit, why couldn't Pizzilli start this game? And that therefore implies that if Pizzilli can't make it in a starting 11 with Kone unfit and continuing to let Kone play 90 minutes, not only start and then sub him off, Kone played 90 minutes and he wasn't fit. That's my only blame. Not that, not even he started and then he got subbed off. No, he was unfit and played 90 minutes, and now we have a game on Thursday. A few decisions I must admit were a bit peculiar. The other, again, people will look at Baldanzi. I don't like Baldanzi as a false nine. I think, again, I don't blame managers who think that the striker is just a point of reference. Striker is, you can play Ferguson up front, you can play Baldanzi up front, you can start Haaland up front, or you can start Foden up front. Kind of a similar physique comparison. But there's something that physical strikers attribute to you that Baldanzi can't do. And my point here is, if you decide to start Baldanzi, which I can understand it. I mean, against Cremonese, he played well as a false nine. And again, it clearly means that he doesn't trust players up front and the players aren't fit. Because Dybala, listing on, we've got a lot of unfit players. Dybala wasn't fit, because otherwise, why did Dybala only play 20 minutes? Ferguson, in my opinion, with Ferguson, it's a bit of him not being fit and him not getting the trust of the manager. So you're kind of, Dovbyk is out, you're kind of forced to start Baldanzi as a false nine. But then my point here is, why the fuck do we play long balls or crosses in the box? Like, that's the thing that I don't understand. Like, if you play Baldanzi as a false nine, you need to come up with something else. If you want to play Baldanzi as a false nine, you can't play long balls. For about 30 minutes in that first half, all I saw was Mancini not having a clue of what he was doing and just kicking the ball long to Baldanzi. And I'm like, okay, but you'll never win this game if you do this. You can do it, you can start Baldanzi as a false nine, but you'll never win this game. It's not that Baldanzi's shit, it's that it's physics. If Baldanzi is marked by two defenders who are triple his size, how on earth can you get a ball if you kick it high? You need to play short passes. And that's and then I think what I think we're doing wrong is that when Ferguson starts, we play ball on the ground, and when Baldanzi starts, we play ball in the air. And that's kind of the big paradox here. I think whenever Baldanzi plays, we do things that we should do with Ferguson on. And whenever Ferguson starts, we should do things that we do with Baldanzi. That we're doing with Baldanzi. And it's not something new that we're offensively sterile this season. But again, this manager needs signings in, I don't care what position will be in January. Of course, there's going to be a difference whether if you kept the tendency of a few weeks ago and got to January as first or a few points from first, then I think there would have been a bit more ability in the January session. If you get to the January session and you're like 6th or 5th, then I think the abilities will be reduced. But my point here is, I don't care what position you'll be the 1st of January. This manager needs players, because this manager, I feel like a lot of these decisions that he's pulling out in recent lineups are kind of Gasperini going, I'm drowning, I need help. And again, this is why I can't blame this manager, because we've overachieved. We've overachieved. We're not top four teams in this league. I said it last time. I think on paper, with everyone fit, we're the fifth best team in this league, because I think Milan, Inter, Napoli, and Juventus have a better team than you. So on paper, you're the fifth best team. You can pull a fight. I'm not saying you can't pull a fight, but in order to pull a fight, you need to give this man his tools. You can. You can't expect. This is what I think our problem is. I think we expect too much from too little, and which is why I'd argue that the fact that we were first and that we've overachieved in this first half of the season, apart from the defeat against Torino and Cagliari, overall, I think I definitely wouldn't have put us in this position by the 7th of December. So technically we overachieved. But I think that there was a risk of us circulating and navigating around that first position. And the risk is exactly this. The risk is that the risk is to the fans, the fact that it gave us false expectations. And to the ownership, maybe it gave them a false hope that what they did was right, when truth is it wasn't, and that he wasn't back this summer. And in order to be navigating in those high seas with the others and not drowning, you need to buy in players. So I think, again, it was good to dream, but I also argue that us navigating around those first positions for the majority of this season has given us a problem, because now all of a sudden we want to destroy everything and we're back in the graveyard, because we're back down in the reality that the truth is that we're back down where we deserve to be. But people won't accept it because we've been first a few weeks ago, and people will have that image in their minds which I said it, believing in the league title too much will only cause psychological defaults to ourselves and to the team, because we're not going to win the league, and you're going to get pissed with yourself for believing in it in the first place. So the analogy that I distribute to you in this video is that we're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. We're not far from the shore because we're almost into January. So we've navigated. We've navigated kilometers. We've navigated miles. It's almost halfway through the season, so we're not off the shore anymore. And at times, we've been navigating with big ships, when in reality, we don't have that big of a ship. And now that a few defeats are coming our way, now that a thunderstorm, hail, rainstorm have hit us in the middle of the sea, because we're coming from some bad performances and some bad results, we're realizing that this ship can't compete with the others that are around us, and that in order not to drown, you need to repair this ship. And by repairing this ship, you need to buy in January. Does that breach FFP? I couldn't give a shit. I couldn't give an absolute shit. We need to get Champions League football. Again, do I think it's a failure for Gasperini's first year? After this start to the season, it would hurt. But at the beginning of the season, nobody would have put us in the top four. So again, it's like the psyche comes in. The psyche comes in, and the mental aspect is important here. But, speaking about single players, I think today we were messy. That's the thing. We were messy. We were there to cause tantrum, and Hermoso in those last 10 minutes turned into prime Roman Reigns. we couldn't string two passes together. This defeat doesn't help. This defeat is a big punch, is a very big punch to our faces, because it comes in a very, 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 very delicate time where we're playing a lot of games, where we're realizing that we're not equipped for all of these games, and we've got a tough calendar coming ahead. So on every aspect, on a physical and mental aspect, this defeat hurts, because today you had to win to prepare. You've got Glasgow on Thursday, you've got Como on Monday, you've got Juventus, you've got Atalanta coming up. You've got hard games. So we need to put our helmet, and we need to continue digging, because we haven't found the gold yet. Gasp will get us fourth, but let's please stop saying we will win the league. Nobody said it. Nobody said it. That's why I said stop believing in it and treat it as a dream and never as a reality, because you're gonna get hurt, and this is exactly it. The fact, people will go, oh, look at Roma, we went from league title hopes to Europa League positioning in 2 games. The fact that we're including the league title hope in these discussions is only because of us. It's our problem. It's not the team's. The team was never, ever since May, a team constructed to win the league. It's just a false obsession and a false visual that we've implanted in these players. And that's our fault only, because the manager never said so, the players never said so. So you need to look at us from that 4th to that 6th place. When people go, yesterday I was like, do we want Inter or Como to win the game? And I'm like, oh, I want to draw, or I want a Como win because we'll get ahead of Como and I want to push for Inter. No, an Inter win is perfect, because you're there to compete against Como, not Inter. You're there to get 4th. You're not there to win the league. You can't compete with Inter, Milan and Napoli. You can't. Maybe you can if we weren't in Europe. If we had a season like Lazio, then maybe we could have tried. But tried, not even convinced, tried. We're playing games after games after games. This team has crises of optimal physical condition. This team has games where it has identity crises, like today. Because there are games where this team doesn't have a clue of what they're doing, doesn't know how to string 2 passes together. You can't compete. Inter battered Como 4-0. I would be very surprised if we win next Monday against Como. So Inter, Milan and Napoli, let them go. People who tonight go, I want a Juventus win. You're wrong. We need a Napoli win. Like it or not, for our own benefit. Our fight is between us, Juventus, Como and Bologna. Maybe Lazio, but Lazio, frankly speaking, doesn't scare me, because I think Lazio have a clearly worse team than Como, us and Bologna. The big fight for that 4th place, if Italy don't get 5 spots, is between us, Juventus, Bologna, and I don't think Como will make top 4. I think for that 4th position, it's between us, Juventus and Bologna. Then Como can be insidious, I ain't gonna lie, but then, and Como is a great team, but then at times they do miss some steps. We do too, but I don't. For that 4th position, the fight is between us, Bologna and Juventus. Those are the teams that we can compete against, and that we have to try and compete against, because we're not shit. What I won't tolerate is people that after these defeats go that this team is terrible. Revolution, clear everything out. Nothing works, because you're just fans that come out of a pocket. And whenever we win, you're the first ones to say that we're in a league title position. And whenever we lose, you're the first one to say that this team needs to clear out and a revolution. And you're the first ones that can find no balance between a win and a defeat. So, my point is this. My point is that this team can compete, but it can compete with the teams that it is built to compete for. That's, I think, the drawback from these games. I must say, Palestra is a very interesting player. Played very well today, and yeah, I mean, I said everything. I don't really have much to add. I'm trying to think of things that I missed, but I'm gonna try and read a few comments. Sule ghosting again when we need him. I think Sule was the best today in that first half. Then again, after that red card, you can't really expect. You can't expect Sule to pick us up on his back and win us games. Sule ain't Pele. Sule ain't Maradona. Sule ain't Messi. Sule's Sule. Good player, decent player, but doesn't have the ability to win us games single-handedly in the first place, let alone if we're down by one. Dead team, no ambition in a single player to create and score. Gasperini needs to try something else with these. This is something that I don't agree with because I think he's tried everything. I think, I mean, at least up front, he's tried everything. He tried Dovbyk up front. He tried Ferguson at times. He tried Dybala as a false nine. He tried Baldanzi as a false nine. He tried Sule as a false nine. I mean, there is nothing else that this manager can do. He needs signings. That's what you can help him for. So I disagree with the fact that he needs to try something new. Up front, he's tried every possible thing. Every possible thing. And it's not clicking because some players aren't good enough, some players aren't fit, and some players are out of position and can't play as a false nine. Title over. It never started. We played like shite. We legit have no striker. Baldanzi, Dybala and Ferguson are useless. Well, Dybala and Ferguson aren't playing well, but Dybala and Ferguson came in a situation that is very hard to... Again, in my opinion, you need to analyze the game in the first 60 minutes, because in the last 30 minutes, you're down by one. The game stops every 2 seconds. Players want to throw a WWE fight. Hermoso starting a tantrum with their bench. That last half an hour, not bothered by it, won't rewatch it. What I'm bothered about is those first 60 minutes. The approach in the start of in the first half, the approach in that start of the second half, where you allowed Foloruncio, who not only is an idiot, not only is a Lazio fan, you allowed him to run past four men to then end up fouling him. With an ability, with such an easy way, he ran past you like a knife through butter. Without a good January window, no top four. Oh, I agree, 100%. There was no approach. We're back to long and speculative passes to no one. We should have started Ferguson over Baldanzi. I mean, for me, it's like the reason why you start the weakest one is because you use the one who's most adapted to try and kill the game at the end. But of course, the moment in the game decided that we got a red card. I think the idea to start Baldanzi instead of Ferguson, I don't like it, but for the criteria and logic of a game, it makes sense. Because you always want to use your strongest... I feel embarrassed to even call Ferguson our strongest weapon, but out of Baldanzi and Ferguson, he definitely is the strongest weapon. So it's logical to use your strongest weapon in the last 30 minutes, and I think the game plan was that. I think the game plan was a very similar approach to Cremonese. Start Baldanzi, try and find an early goal, and then in the second half, sub Ferguson to kill the game, but this time around it didn't work. All of our loans have been useless this season. All of our signings, apart from Wesley and Elanawi, in my opinion, have been useless, mate. Bailey's been useless. Ferguson's been useless. Tsimikas has been useless. Gilardi is... You can't blame him. Of course, the goal that we conceded is his fault, but he's young. He played 20 minutes in the league this season. But, you know, people who say that... my conclusion here is, people who say that this manager was backed this summer, you're wrong. Full stop. Sorry, Simon, I'm a Juventino, but I think Napoli will win the Scudetto this year. I think Milan will win it. Well, I think Inter have got the best team on paper, and yesterday's game proves it. But I think Milan will win it. Only one thing to blame Gas for: he doesn't trust Pizzilli. Apparently, I agree with you here. Bring back DDR, mate. Yeah, you're a Pocket fan. You're a Pocket fan. You are, because that statement is ridiculous. And this is why I don't like people who have no balance. Because you win a game and you're the first one to say that we'll win the Champions League, and you lose a game and you're the first one to say that the manager needs to get sacked. And these fans are the reason De Rossi was sacked in the first place. These fans are the reason things went wrong in the past. Because you guys have no balance whatsoever. You act upon your emotions and you're not rational. You're not. What? No one's saying we will win. Shit, we're winning the... Trying again for the... I don't understand. Pellegrini's been shit since Jose's time, and Roma still keeps him for what? But anytime we go down, I just see it so hard to make a goal. Like, there's no plan B. Oh, it's not like you see it, mate. It's factually proven. It's factually proven that whenever we go down, we don't win games or don't score. Wesley's not an upgrade to Paredes so far, and I didn't rate Paredes much. I mean, you can't really compare Wesley to Paredes. Maybe you mean El Enaoui, but Wesley and Paredes, it's like comparing soup to tiramisu. We should have kept Tammy, says Kobe. Right, guys, I'm gonna... these are the most annoying defeats. Last time we let this happen to us was more than a year ago in Verona with Juric. If I exclude last December loss against Como, really annoying. I'm gonna catch you tomorrow. Hit the like, subscribe. Bad, this is brutal. Very, 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 very brutal. But we move. That's what needs to happen, and that's what we need to do. Celtic on Thursday in the Europa League, and then Como next Monday. At least we'll have a bit of a longer break next weekend, because a lot of games I think is killing us right now. Okay, speak to you soon. Simo out.